This month on Ink, Coffee, and Regrets, we're diving into writing with purpose, the engine, and writing as an art, as a tool, and as personal growth, the soul. If you've ever wondered why you write or what writing does to you, this is your episode. Let's go. Greetings, lexophiles, quillophiles, and bibliophiles, and welcome back to the Ink, Coffee, and Regrets program, where the coffee is strong, the regrets are plentiful, and the writing, well, I'm working on it. Today we're talking about writing with purpose, meaning writing with intentionality and creating a written work that knows exactly what it's trying to do and what it's trying to say, and the art of writing as a tool and as a way to grow as a human being. Basically, the engine and the soul. Before I begin, can you believe it? Ink, Coffee, and Regrets is coming up on its first year in production. And honestly, I thought I would have talked myself out of it by now. But I have to tell you that it's the support from my modest fan base that has kept me plugging away, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate you all. I wish I had some kind of contest or giveaway that I could put together for you all, but I think I'll have to wait until next year, when my fan base gets a little bit bigger. And maybe I'll give away my son's skateboard or his Xbox. We'll see. Yeah, I'm evil that way. So on with the show, shall we? So writing with purpose. It sounds strange when I say it aloud, but maybe even a little bit redundant. I mean, when you write, you have some intent, right? You might think you have some purpose already in place when you start writing, but I don't think it's always the case. But here, I'm talking about writing with intentionality, writing in such a way that you have a North Star, so to speak. It's not just about the almost mechanical act of putting words on paper, metaphorically, more than literally these days. It's also about knowing the why behind putting those words down in the first place, where you plan on going, the story you're trying to tell. Without purpose of some sort, writing can be like wandering around aimlessly. And yes, it can still be pleasant wandering, for sure, but it's still wandering. Imagine two people going into a grocery store. Let's say it's my wife and I. We are two different styles of shoppers, you might say. When I shop, I go in, I get what I need, and I get out. She, on the other hand, will meander. Not all the time, but many times. I go in with a list and a mission. She goes in with a list that seems to change the more she shops, and the mission turns into a mystery with an occasional surprise, becoming more of a Pokemon hunt or a misplaced side quest. Purpose is what turns wandering into direction. That is not to say that there's anything really wrong with wandering. Many writers do that. I mean, look at Thomas Pynchon. His writing sometimes feels like meandering, but under there is still a purpose. It might just not seem like it at the time. Purpose in your writing can shape your audience and can even shape your style as you move forward into your story. When you know, or at least think you know, who you're talking to, everything changes. The tone, the pacing, the structure. Try to think of it this way. Purpose is your compass, and your audience is the terrain. And here's the thing. Purpose is a bridge of sorts between two structures of your writing, no matter what type of writing you do. Fiction, fact, educational, children's stories, romance, even literary erotica. And those two structures are intention and outcome. Intention is what you hope your writing will do, how you hope it will be received, and hope you would like your audience to feel when they've read it. It's your expectation of how people will respond to what you, the writer, have created. And then there's outcome. Well, that part should be obvious. This is what your work actually does. It's the laughter at a well-placed joke or anecdote, the tears they shed when an important character dies that they've grown to love, or the warm feeling they have in their hearts when that lead finally kisses their partner after building up the uncomfortable tension and romance for the last 80 pages. More simply, intention is what you hope your writing will do. Outcome is what it actually does. And the purpose in your writing is the bridge that connects the two together. Purpose can also be a filter. It tells you what belongs and what doesn't. It prevents kitchen sink writing, where you just kind of throw everything in the sink together because you're afraid to lose something, and then you just write to make it work. It's not really a one-size-fits-all thing. Different genres can and will shape the purpose differently. You'll find that fiction aims for some kind of emotional resonance with your readers, whereas nonfiction looks for clarity and explanation or expansion of an idea or thought. Poetry looks for the distillation of an idea or thought into more picturesque or poetic or romantic terms. Purpose isn't, nor should it be, genre-specific. Instead, it's shaped by the genre. Purpose is not really something you can learn from others, at least not typically. I mean, you can, but not as easily as you might think. The concept can be taught, but in the end, your purpose in your writing is unique to you and to the work you're presently working on. I had to laugh while putting this together because of a line of a movie I watched when I was young, and is still one of my favorite movies, and one that only a few of you listening have probably ever seen. In the movie The Jerk with Steve Martin, there's a running joke through the movie about him and his special purpose. You didn't see the air quotes there. I won't go into details about what his special purpose is because I want to maintain a family rating for the show. But to suffice it to say, if you know, you know. And if not, go watch the movie. It's out there. The Jerk, Steve Martin, one of his better early movies. So in closing this part of the show, I have a challenge for you all. Write 200 words with one explicit purpose. Just one. Make it do something. It doesn't have to be complex. It can just be very simple. Give it purpose and make it do something. I would love it if you shared it with me. And if you do want to share it with me, please send it to my email. That's samuel@inkcoffeeandregrets.com. Also, if you do, please include in the email if you're willing to let me share it on my site. If not, I'll understand and I will not share it. But if you are okay with me doing it, I will post it on there and I won't take any of your credit. I won't steal your steam. It'll be there with your name on it or whatever pen name you choose to use with it. So now let's move on to part 2. And that's writing as art, writing as a tool, and writing for growth. Art isn't necessarily about utility. Well, I guess it can be sometimes. But most of the time, it's not. It's about expression, about taking something that exists only in your mind as a vision or a dream and expressing it in a way for others to enjoy. Most of the time when you say that, your people immediately think of paintings, pictures, drawings, sculptures. But writing is an art. I'm not familiar with too many people who will argue that point, but if you're a neophyte, you may think that, well, no, writing is writing. But it's an art. Some of us are great at it. Some of us, like me, are still working at it. Writing becomes its own form of art when it creates experience and emotions, not just information. The artistry is, in a way, the writer shapes the words, the rhythm, the imagery, metaphor, silence, all put together as a form of literary paint, you might say, designed to create an image that the reader sees in their mind. And keep in mind that each reader, no matter even if they're reading the same book, each reader will see something different from the exact same work, which to them will sometimes make it more personal. Take, for example, the Trilogy of the Rings. I've read that work. I've read that entire body of work at least 10 times over the last half century. Dang. Man, am I that old? Anyway, each time I read it, I tend to find something that I missed the time before. Some small thing, some little nuances that I must have read over and skipped, but I find it that next time. Take also a work like Battlefield Earth by L. Ron Hubbard. Yes, I can see some of you out there rolling your eyes, and say what you will about the man and the religion. I really like his fiction. And not counting that travesty of a movie, the book, Battlefield Earth, was very memorable to me. It felt like an adventure. I just couldn't put it down when I first read it. I mean, it's more than 1,000 pages, and I literally blew through that in a matter of like 6 days. because I could not put it down. Both of these bodies of work, to me, are ways in which the author, an artist in their own way, shape, and form, can shape the written word to draw his or her readers to see the way they paint their pictures. Both authors paint in different ways, but each creates a world that you can step into. Now, writing as a tool. Writing has been around in some way, form, or whatever for almost as long as there's been mankind. So we started using the earliest form of, I guess you would say, writing by drawing pictures on a wall to communicate to others where the better hunts were, where water was, things like that. It's how we as humans think outside our heads. It clarifies our thoughts, processes emotions, preserves memories, builds identity. Writing is the original external hard drive. We are literally writing the contents of our thoughts onto an external media for later review and processing. The process of moving that information can, and does for me, give us a way to objectify our thoughts in such a way that we can return to them later and maybe find something we missed. Think of it this way. I've been journaling for years. I have books of my thoughts on a daily basis. I've written them down daily for several years now. Everything from lists of what needs to be accomplished each day to what I did accomplish, arguments with my wife, arguments with my son, complaining about somebody standing outside yelling. It's all there. You can pretty much find a lot of stuff about it. I find that doing so, journaling as it is a powerful tool for managing my daily life and for keeping me on task. Sometimes I flip back through old entries and realize that I've grown in ways I hadn't even noticed. Maybe I even find an entry and say, oh crap, I never did that. But it's beneficial to me and it's a tool. So consider this. We write grocery lists. We write to-do lists. We have reminder notes. We leave notes to our children, which they rarely read, with things that are supposed to be doing while they're home from summer school. These are all tools. They are all things that we do to better ourselves through another form of writing, and to hopefully better others through that form of writing. And writing can help you with your personal growth. It forces honesty, sometimes uncomfortable honesty. When you're writing in a journal or diary, rarely do you lie. You would be lying to yourself, essentially. And since you already know the truth, why would you do that? Writing, especially the example I just gave, can reveal patterns, fears, desires, wants, contradictions, dreams. You are, through your writing, confronting yourself and confronting the deeper side of yourself, your id, if you will. And personal growth comes from confronting yourself through what you write, not just producing it. Writing can also be about self-discovery. Sometimes you don't know what you think until you write it. There can be an intimate relationship between you and the written word as it leaves you and spills onto the piece of paper or into whatever media you happen to be using at the time. You're more open and honest when you know that you are the only one listening to your heart and mind. Writing shows you the parts of yourself maybe you didn't realize were speaking. This is also true about writing notes to someone else. A letter to your child, to your spouse, to a loved one. People do not always realize, at least not until they start, but writing can sometimes be easier to share your thoughts, worries, fears, dreams with another than just talking to them face to face. Lastly, writing can be about healing. Whether you're pouring your heart out to your diary about some past trauma or a lost loved one, or the loss of a loved one, or writing a letter to someone you care about because you can't face them, or writing a goodbye letter to someone who you know has turned their back on you. Writing can be a catharsis. It can be that way to let go when the spoken words just no longer work. And I do speak from experience with that one. Years ago, at the suggestion of a childhood friend who, through ignorance and misunderstanding, I pushed away, I wrote a letter to my father, who at the time had recently passed. In that letter, I talked about many things I had never been able to say to him. I sealed the letter, and then one evening, I burned it. And you know what? It may sound silly and it may sound crazy to some of you, but it did make me feel better. Writing can let you process grief without performance, as you may have picked up in all this, is a powerful, powerful thing. And whether you believe it or not, everyone can do it. You don't have to be good. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to have a literary degree. You don't even have to be really good at whatever your native language is. As long as you write. You don't have to write for others. You can just write for yourself. And in those cases, unless you change your mind, you're the only audience and the only one that really matters. So write your heart out. So for this section, your challenge is simple. Write about a moment you misunderstood yourself. No word count, just being honest to yourself. If you do want to share that with me, I would be honored. But if not, then I would like you to at least tell me how it made you feel when you did it. If it changed anything in your life. If maybe it moved you on to start journaling, which again, I'm a very big proponent of. So remember, purpose is the engine. Art is the soul. Tool is the function. And growth is the reward. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Go write something with intention, and then write something that surprises you. And on that note, may your ink, like your purpose, flow clean and true. May your coffee stay dark and wild. And may your regrets transform you and lead you somewhere that you didn't know you needed to go. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Have a good one.